Hello, welcome to Line War. Today we have Zloygiz versus Rinatvaleulin. So we're going to go with Zloygiz and Rina. We're currently looking at Rina. He's setting up the lines right now. And it looks like going for barracks and more barracks for now. Over here from Zloygiz we have a tank rush coming in, some eco set up, and another factory being built over here, but no line set up just yet. They're doing it now, so we will have to see what happens, because they're not far from each other, and if Zloygiz has any idea on where Rina has actually started, then these tanks can be quite effective at taking them out. And those tanks are going to be producing really fast, because they were part of the initial startup cache that you get. But it looks like Rina is going for an airfield to start with as well. Factory and two other barracks here, right in this forest is where they're starting. And I think they're going to spot what's coming forward towards them very soon, because they are moving this way from this forest. And Zloygiz is not got any units moving this way. So I get the feeling those tanks are going to be playing a bit of a guessing game as to where the enemy are, because they are all within the south of this forest right now. But these infantry are spreading out really nicely across this land here, and they are looking to take everything apart from this one territory here. But it looks like Zloygiz has been spotted. Rina has noticed this and has decided to pull back instead. And did Zloygiz spot this? Yes, they did, which gives his tanks a direction to move in. And I'm surprised they're on an orange command. This probably should be on a blue command, so they don't attack along the way. Just as a fair point I'm making out here. And they're also on flag commands, which is going to slow them down, and they have been spotted, which means they will have time to respond to this attack. With the tank rush, you really need to try and get them into the enemy's base as quick as possible without being seen, or without being seen as long as possible. But they are going to get spotted really early. There isn't much else they're going to do. He's got a tank moving down this way. I'm assuming that's to go all the way around to the back of the base and see if they can do some sneaky tactics a bit later on. There's another factory being built, so they are absolutely not going for any barracks in this, which means their economy might lag behind. But luckily he did build a town, so that might help negate that effect. But these tanks are now moving in a different path. They are still on orange commands. They are just going to stop and attack. He might be doing this for a little while just to build up his units and wait until they're a bit stronger to move forward. But I would definitely suggest having them move straight in, especially with this, just straight into the forest on a blue arrow command. Because otherwise you're doing this while your enemy has time to set up their defences right here, which will give them time to recover from that as well. Getting those tanks in really quick might have been key to trying to win early on, but unfortunately Zloygiz did not capitalise on the advantage they had there, I don't think. And I know Zloygiz watches my videos, so feel free to comment what your thought process was there. And if I might be wrong, because I may as well be. I'm happy to accept that if I am. So, over here we do have a bit of an engagement. Zloygiz is taking over that area because the paths crossed and they are going to connect to this slot. There's 3 against 2 here, so it's likely they're going to win that. Unless Rina decides to bring these units down into this fight and stop Zloygiz there. There's 4 tanks. To be fair, as I said, to go straight through here, at this point in the time, those tanks are literally going to move directly around this defensive point here and go straight into the battle there. But now there's a striker on the field, and that striker is going to get out there as soon as possible to try and deal any damage to these tanks as they are stationary, doing not much at all apart from taking land. So, Rina has pretty much full control over this section of the map until Zloygiz plows through this base. Or, if Rina can defend that, they'll have full control over this. They are moving down this way to claim any extra territory, but I remember Zloygiz had some tanks even moving this way. He's got two going that way now, one there, and he's got a lot of infantry down here. So when they have finished capturing this lot, they're going to be moving this way, and we're going to have two engagements now, or at that point. And those tanks have moved in directly in instead of coming around like they were going to originally, meaning that they aren't actually going to go around those defenses anymore. They're going to go straight through them. And those tanks are going to take a lot of damage from that, because the defenses were allowed to build up. There's a striker in the air right now, and they're going to clear up the rest of that, but one tank does seem to be getting through. And there's these two tanks up here that are going to get through. Let's have a look at what the defense is like over there. And there is a bit of a defensive wall there as well. And now Zloygiz is right in the middle of that, and they can't really see much apart from that barracks. And that didn't really work out as well as Zloygiz had thought. Which is unfortunate, because that would have been a great attack if they were confident enough to go forward with it. Rina's now going for an energy well to fund these strikers, which would be great. They didn't have any other option other than to go here, because I would have avoided this location if possible, but unfortunately it wasn't possible. I can't see any other energy well opportunities right now, not within direct vicinity anyway. And now Rina is fully aware that Zloygiz is this way. They're using arrow commands to try and scout out the area by the looks of it, instead of trying to use flag commands to capture the area. And now they've changed it to flag commands. Maybe it was just a mistake. There we go. So now they're trying to capture all this territory. They're also getting a good scout off. They've spotted Zloygiz space. They can see the town through the fog of war. There is another tank there, so they can see all of that now. And Zloygiz can see all of this coming in, but it is a stream of dotted infantry, so he's probably not too concerned about that. Added tanks onto this line, and then he's just taking it away straight away. He's obviously got a plan to do that. There you go, he's got this unit going across all of the territory as best they can. All as one group, and there's a navy yard. That's interesting. He does have the chance to get his trade route up and running, which I don't think Rina has a trade route on their side. They do not, so if Zloygiz can capitalize on the advantage they have here, that would be great in the long run of this game. Right now they've got the tanks moving on haste to try and get to this energy well over here, just in the north. And another one's moving in. They've got anti-air now with the SAM units, which you might have wanted to take with these tanks, to be fair, because of the strikers that are going to definitely target these tanks, I would have thought. I can't imagine Rina's not going to use those strikers. They got 3 now. That might have been a bit premature, but to be fair, that should be fine. There you go, the strikers are coming straight in to try and take on those tanks. The SAM have been left at home, and they are not going to be able to defend those tanks. The tanks did get in before those defensive line was placed, which is fortunate for Zloygiz. I don't know if it's going to do enough damage before those strikers kill it. I'm pretty sure that energy well is pretty safe right now. There you go, the tank does go down. Another tank is still trying to sneak in there, but it's going straight through those strikers' territories, and it is going to get taken out pretty quick. On the other hand, Rina is still trying to move units through and capture this territory all along this front here, and the units over here are actually making quite a lot of progress, even towards the enemy's units here. And again, this is an arrow command, possibly a mistake, but possibly to get straight in there to attack these units. And these strikers will be able to do a fair amount of damage, apart from where these SAM units are. Have a look at Zloygiz, because I know he's using units to go across here. They have contact down here now. There is 4 tanks engaging over there. Rina has spotted that as well. I saw the territory change. Oh, that was because the tanks rolled into it, so actually, thinking about it. So Rina might not have spotted this yet, but they are going to probably take out these infantry down here quite easily. Which means Rina's going to have to probably try and use these strikers whenever they come into range for these tanks over here. Up here, the strikers are being used to take out the artillery, so the infantry can take out the infantry there without any worries. And the SAM units are here, so it is possible to set up a line that goes up and then down to take out some of these production structures. So you can avoid going through a straight line. Though the return home can be a bit tricky to do when you're doing lines like that. The strikers are on the return. There is a fair amount of artillery being built by Zloygiz right now. And Zloygiz is increasing their economy at the minute. So let's have a quick look at their economy. Zloygiz is at 730 to 40. Keeps changing. And Rina is at nearly 900. So Rina is ahead in economy. Probably pretty much because she started up barracks at the beginning. So those barracks have allowed them to pretty much take over a lot of territory over the map really fast. Whereas Zloygiz, to get over this side really quick, had to take a straight line. As you can see, it's these units that are capturing the rest, but those tanks went straight through to get there. And now there's going to be 5 tanks there that are going to be able to push up north in that direction. And it looks like Rina has spotted this. All these units are coming into one location to try and protect those tanks. These strikers are coming in to scout out. I assume this is probably their maximum range. And there's nothing there, so they've taken it away. They can even see that there's no territory claim there. And those tanks by Zloygiz are trying to take out that energy well to get rid of those strikers. And at this point, those strikers were used to scout out, so they are in the air. They aren't able to just turn around and take out those tanks. They have to land first and reorganize, and then come back out, which they are coming right now. But there is 4 tanks here, and that's going to deal heavy damage to this energy well really quickly. And these strikers still have to take off. One is in the air. They're all slowly taking off. Now they're in the battlefield, but the energy well goes down, and there is no more energy left to use. So these tanks are going to have to be taken out by these infantry units here. And the SAM, potentially. But that is not what you want to use against those tanks. You definitely want those strikers involved in that fight. Probably could have done with some power plants hidden around, and with the economy that Rina's got, they could have achieved that fairly easily. And Zloygiz is going to use these tanks to go straight through this forest, and is having energy issues of his own, which has given Rina a bit of time to fix their energy issue of their own. And I find a lot of players do save up a lot of capital in this game before they actually spend it. Let me know, do you save up more than 1,000 in a game, or do you like to spend it as soon as you can? I'm usually more of a spend it as soon as I can type of player. But yeah, those tanks can't see anything in that forest. This is all they can see. They got this barracks that they saw earlier. This energy well has already been built again, which is probably a bad idea. These tanks could just move back up and take it out. But I know these tanks are trying to search for an airfield, and they're not coming across it. There's just not enough there to reveal any stealth in that area. Anyway, there was 4 tanks coming down here, so where are they? They're just sitting around down there doing not much, really. It's because they're on an orange command, so they're just attacking any unit that comes to them, and they're coming from kind of like all over the place. So they are being slowed down by the staggered units that keep moving in. And that's pretty much what's holding them back. If they're on a blue command, then Rina would have to chase him instead of the other way around. Those tanks have come back up for the energy well because that's pretty much all they can see in that area. And it is a very high value target right now. Unfortunately, Rina is probably going to lose that as well because the jets are only just about able to take off, and they've already had this problem before. The energy well is going to go straight down before they can take off. There we go. Now is the time to build that energy well. You definitely want those strikers back in line as fast as possible. Build the energy well, have at least 1 power plant and some storage elsewhere. There we go. Literally just what I said. There's an airfield in the mountains here to take on these tanks. They will eventually do that if the tanks don't actually maneuver themselves properly. They're just taking out some infantry when they could easily be moving up north, trying to scout out the enemy and get him from behind. Whereas over here, I've just spotted these units from Rina. There we go. These units have managed to sneak in through the back and take out some territory. It's not really even sneaky. It's just how it's ended up happening. Just the weak point in Zloygiz's front line. And they are going to end up coming through the back if Zloygiz doesn't do anything about that. Which it looks like they are. They're going to deal with that quite well. And there is like 7 tanks here moving forward. 8, there's already one there. And they're going to be moving up all the way here. And that is probably not necessarily a wise thing to do. They've got the energy well and a pipe here, which leads all the way to this power plant. Okay, so in my opinion, have these power plants separate and connected to this storage. And this energy well should not be connected to those. And the only reason I say that is because these tanks have been targeting this really heavily. So the chances are they're going to spot this pipeline. Have a look. Yeah, Zloygiz can see this. I think I saw that earlier. So they know that there is something over this way. And instead of going for that heavily defended structure now, they could decide to just carry on going forward and find where that pipe is going for. Which I think that's why Zloygiz is coming this way. Hoping for something to be here. I think they're thinking of storage. But unfortunately, they are going to end up missing it. But they will reveal the pipe. Those strikers are back up and running now. And they are going to try and take on those tanks. Which Rina can see all 7 of these over here. There's one behind the front line. Zloygiz can see that pipe now. Are they going to react and change it? They're going to go this way? Yep, that pipe has revealed the power plant that was once hidden. The tanks down here have been defeated by the looks of it. We do have some extra production down here. So I do think Zloygiz is catching up in economy because of those territory grabbing at the bottom. Let's have a look at the economy. We've got 980 from Zloygiz. Those tanks are currently sneaking through. Just one tiny weak point there that they made. Whereas Rina has 1,100 every minute. So Rina's definitely way ahead of Zloygiz when it comes to economy. But Zloygiz is using these tanks fairly effectively. That tank now has actually managed to pass the power plant. It knows there's something there because the pipe stopped. But it just can't see it. So he has spotted something there. And that energy well is still trying to be heavily attacked by these tanks. He thinks it's a storage well there, which is why he's trying so heavily there. He did manage to destroy it, but unfortunately for Zloygiz, that is actually a power plant, and those strikers will stay up and running. Not for very long, but they will be able to try and take out the tanks. Power plants are pretty much just as good as the energy wells. You just need double. 2 power plants is the same as 1 energy well, but they cost the same. The only difference is a power plant you can place anywhere. So we do have some sneaky units coming in through this way. This defense is made up entirely of infantry, which is great to fill out a large area, but artillery outrange them, so there's almost no point in using infantry like this, in my opinion. Unless you're just using it as a meat shield. For like a large group of air units to take out. I'd say Zloygiz does have good coverage here. He's got a lot of vision. Whereas Rina, to be fair, does have a lot of vision, mostly because of this defensive line. And Rina has some production down here, I just noticed. They've got a lot of artillery coming down. They've spotted this production down there. Tanks are moving in down there. They've got an assault going on there. There's a lot to focus on at this point in time. They're going through the forest, so Rina's hard to tell how big her force is down there. I feel like Rina's a feminine name, so I'm using she'll, her. But it doesn't really matter too much, it's just natural. So we have a group of units coming through here. They are literally taking on this curve here, which is a great point to attack, is where this is. If they were concave the other way, it would be the worst place to attack because of the firing lines. But it is the weakest point on this defense, is right here. And that's why that's going on there. So Zloygiz is pretty much going to send in everything they've got now into Rina's main location. And the SAM units are being held back to take out these strikers as they come over to try and take out the artillery or the tanks. It looks like those strikers are retreating. Ah, they're taking a longer route round, and they're coming in from behind and coming into this area here to assist these infantry and taking out the artillery up there. Which is not a bad move, to be fair, because there is no anti-air over there, and you might be able to win that engagement and bring these units down. But there is going to be a fairly large battle going on over here soon, and there's going to be a lot of anti-air. So it might be wise to try and use the strikers to control down here, which they are using as well, to be fair, because they've got the airfield over here. But I think Rina is going to be struggling with energy once again very soon, because there just isn't enough energy on this map. There you go, some tanks are breaking over this fortified wall. And they are just going to be pushing through. Let's have a look at how he's running these commands. There you go, so we got an artillery line here, so any units coming into this area are going to be fired upon quite heavily really quickly. And they're not going to survive for very long, so you really need to get in to this area if you can with some strikers, but unfortunately you got these units, so you're going to have to take those out first. Now Rina did win in the north there, and instead of trying to attack or help with the defense, they are going on the offense and trying to take out this location, which is not a bad idea either. Sometimes the best form of defense is a good offense, and same could be said vice versa, I suppose. And they're doing the same with the strikers. They're trying to stop those tanks from moving by taking out the energy wells over here. But again, Rina has 2,000 capital saved up right now, and that could be used to help in production on barracks or artillery of their own. And taking out this energy well isn't going to do too much yet, because there is another energy well, so they're going to need to take out two. And when you've got a line command like this, you don't need to worry about adding the strike command there. They're two different commands, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. And what's going on down in this location here? It looks like Rina's got a good thing going on down here. And Zloygiz has invested in an airfield and has put interceptors on it. Also, I've noticed Zloygiz did manage to get a transport boat and has got commandos. Commandos don't take the territory that well, so it might have been better to use normal ones unless you were using the transport jets. But to be fair, Zloygiz has tried to take over this island. He's got an energy well down there. There we go, and it looks like Rina's defences have fallen. And that is a fairly large artillery, and anytime these strikers take off, they get in the firing line of these strikers at these SAM units. Which is a really bad situation for Rina right now, as they are encircled by artillery. And there isn't really much you can do about this, other than a nuke, more artillery, or so many strikers that you can outweigh the SAM units. Over in the south, we have Rina trying to take control, and fairly successfully doing so. We have a decent amount of production that is just enough to overpower this area without over-investing, but unfortunately Rina has so much money they could spend it all over this area on a lot of production and push back later if they wanted to. And it looks like that's what they're going to do. Hopefully they're going to spend all their money. They are going to keep spending, but it might be a little too late. But we'll have to wait and see. It's better to do that than do nothing right now. Unfortunately, it looks like they're going to lose this airfield, but at this point I don't think it matters. It doesn't look like there's any strikers on it. And those SAM units are going to take out anything that comes out of it anyway. And we have a rocket, so it looks like they're taking my advice for both sides of it. They're building lots of... Is that barracks? No, that's a factory. Right, so these are factories. That's alright then. I don't know why, but I thought they were barracks. So these are all factories they've built, and they still have 1,000 left over, and there's a rocket. You only need 500 left over, so I can understand saving up 500. But you could at least make one or two more factories there to help with this onslaught you're having to worry about over here. Can't remember. I know they sent some units this way, but it looks like they've been taken out too. What's going on down here from Zloygiz's side? So Zloygiz is being pushed back. There is some extra production here that Rina couldn't see. Yeah, that's right. There's one there, though. So they have spotted a bit more going on. But because it's so foresty, it's really hard for Rina to detect where the main areas are. And the commandos in the forest are increasing their stealth against those artillery that are coming through. And the artillery just can't even spot them. They're getting destroyed before they can do anything about it. Up here, it looks like Zloygiz is absolutely wiping Rina from this forest. And Rina's setting up a line command, 2 lines there, so their units create this curved formation, which is actually quite a good formation there. But I wouldn't keep pushing it forward right now because there is a big force here, and you don't have a lot of units to fill in this gap. If it was already full, yes, I'd understand. But from Zloygiz's side, you can see the units setting up already. And these artillery will move slowly, but when there's nothing there, they will start to make a lot of progress. And Zloygiz is already on the way. Rina can't really see anything right now, apart from a tank. And they are going to get there quite fast, to be fair. I would move these lines back and bring this line back as well. Forget about those barracks. Make something a bit more substantial before you go on the offense. And then just start pushing forward with it when you've got it. Down in the south, Rina is being fairly successful, but at the same time, maybe being a bit too slow about it. Which is unfortunate. They can't make enough progress in the south. Whereas Zloygiz's side in the south is mostly just the airfield, and they are slowly losing the territory. But they still have one production structure down here. There we go. So they've lost all the units here now. And Rina has had to move the units even further back. But they are building a city, so they're still worried about economy rather than production, which I think at this point you definitely need to work on your production over economy when you're being pushed back this fast. They've spotted some extra units coming in over here, so we've got some strikers being called in from that middle section to try and deal with these artillery and infantry that are there. And another line has been set up to try and defend from that. But nothing is actually heading towards it just yet. From Zloygiz's side, we have a small force coming in through this area, which is going to be quite effective at this point. Zloygiz is holding off in the bottom there, building up some units before having to worry about attacking yet. Now, I would like to see Rina get this rocket off and see where it's going to end up going. And it looks like this power plant's connected to this rocket silo, and then to that. I'm not sure if that's actually the case. I'm pretty sure it isn't. I don't think you can do that. It just kind of looks funny. Those strikers are getting some free shots off on these units that have been just pretty much ignored there. And I know Zloygiz can't really see what's going on there, but if they move this way, they could get a power plant, and they don't even know it yet. Just being slowed down by this territory grabbing. I've just noticed that Zloygiz is mostly putting his forces down in the bottom part, which is great because they're cutting off this corner. You wouldn't want to attack straight through the middle of here because of the concave shape here, but he's just going straight for the bottom line, which doesn't really have a concave to it, so that is pretty good positioning for him. It looks like Zloygiz got attacked in the south. Yeah, a lot of these units came in and started pushing against that area. And Rina has definitely increased the presence in the south. A lot of pressure applied now. And Zloygiz is definitely going to feel that pressure and may start even losing a lot faster in the south. That city is now built. So there we go. That's going to be a big boost to the economy for Rina. And they're at 1,000 at this point in time. And Zloygiz is definitely much further ahead with 1,300. They haven't managed to claim this island yet, which surprises me. And they've missed a territory there. But they do have that area with free energy on it. over here, it looks like Rina's given up on the defensive lines and is now going on an attack to try and take out these SAM units from behind. Whilst also using some units at the front to distract the artillery. That rocket's nearly built, and when it gets built, they'll be able to destroy a lot of units here. But will it get built in time? Because there is a minimum range they can fire at. I think it's about this sort of range. Any closer than that, you can't fire. There we go. Now Rina's pushing very heavily in the south. But Zloygiz did have a bit of a mini army going on down here. Yeah, they have applied a lot of pressure going this way after their army started to win in the north, but that means there's no reinforcements coming through in the north, allowing Rina to actually survive up here and push back again. But in the south, although Zloygiz has put in a lot of pressure themselves, Rina has reacted as such. But Rina is spread out a lot further, and these tanks are going to tank a lot of the damage. And because they're spread out quite thinly, and Zloygiz is pretty much a big group, I think Zloygiz is actually going to get the advantage here. And may eventually win that section if nothing is done about it. Rina needs to stop this chain of units going in one at a time unless they're literally just there to slow them down. Maybe just send the infantry then and build up artillery. But you need a big ball of units here to take on this unit. And it looks like Zloygiz has spotted these units coming in through this section and is trying to divert his units this way. It is concerning for Zloygiz that they have these to worry about, trying to defend. And while Zloygiz is worried about that battle in the south, it looks like they've lost the battle in the north. But instead of having reinforcements supplied anywhere, they are building up their reinforcements for an attack later on by the looks of things. They have a lot of artillery stored at their actual base. And they've got their city being built too, so their economy is going to get a big boost too now. There we go. So, looks like Zloygiz is actually going to win down in this southern part of the map with the extra reinforcements sent in. And unfortunately, Rina wasn't able to keep up, but if they did keep spending their capital, it might make it a lot easier to do so. Whereas Zloygiz has spent most of his capital that they've earned. And yet, these artillery are not going to be able to hold that off unless Rina's able to pull something out there. Over here, they might actually be able to hold this off, but it's just hard to tell what's actually in that forest. Rina can pretty much see everything that's going on there. And these artillery are doing a nice shape around the enemy, so they're going to do quite an advantageous, have quite an advantage there. But at the same time, they are slowly catching off the units that are curved at the points. Which is a bit unfortunate for Zloygiz, as that is kind of advantageous positioning. Has kind of gone against him at certain times. But now, Rina has control of the northern section of the map. And Zloygiz does still have his units over here, so there is a big force going now, once again, towards Rina's northern base. Got some units even further on the top line of the coast, trying to scout out the enemy just to make sure that nothing's coming forward. Which they will find there is something coming forward. The interceptors are trying to take out the strikers, and they will be successful at that if they try and continue this fight. But what is Zloygiz doing there? Has he got a command directly over the top of it? Flying through it. Yeah, so it's this line command. The interceptors are going across and flying towards it. And Zloygiz did lose the fight over here, but I think has won the fight down here, so... How much does Rina have? Rina's still got quite a substantial force there. If they just let it build up a bit, like Zloygiz has, we'll pretty much check out what that looks like over here. So this is what Zloygiz did. He built up his units and is now sending them off. And Zloygiz has a rocket here. Yeah, Zloygiz has a rocket right here and Rina can't even see it. That's incredible. It's a stealth structure in a stealthed environment. It's doing really good, and I did not even notice that. But Rina has a rocket. I remember them building it. I completely forgot about it. So building up your units, and the rockets just missed. Nah, it got most of them. It's alright. I thought the rocket was going to fly straight over it all then and miss. It did get the majority of those. But unfortunately, I still think there's quite a lot of artillery there. And it's the same in the south. It just seems to be not quite enough to defeat your enemy at all times. I just feel weird that Zloygiz actually managed to save this rocket despite there being fighting all around it, and no one's actually managed to, or should I say Rina's not actually managed to spot it and destroy it. So Zloygiz is keeping these interceptors above this airfield to stop these strikers taking off, and every time they do, they are just getting absolutely destroyed, which is wasting Rina's economy. As soon as they have built, they get destroyed. They are absolutely useless right now. And the fact that he's got them trying to curve around here, I think, is to keep their location a bit of a secret. Especially as they don't have control over that area right now. And Rina is really close to those airstrips. Zloygiz does have a rocket. It's nearly half built. And once it gets built, it is right on the front lines. And I'm surprised Rina can't even see it yet. If Rina does manage to spot that, they're going to be really annoyed that they've been fighting around it this whole time and it just hasn't managed to be enough vision to see it. But Rina does have some units up in the north here, coming down through this area. And they will probably be able to take that out, but there is a commando there and they can't really see it all that well. So these commandos are going to get a lot of damage in just because they are stealth themselves. So they keep popping in and out as they get closer and closer, but as soon as a unit dies, it makes it a bit easier for them to stay stealthed. And they're getting away with a lot of damage there, as every time they disappear, they unpack and redeploy, just like that, and they're doing it again. Now, the interceptors are still covering that area, but it does surprise me that stealth has been a problem for Rina right now and has been in favour of Zloygiz, because Rina is just about spotting these airstrips coming up now. There we go. So they might be able to take out those interceptors and stop these strikers from getting destroyed every time they take off. There we go. That striker's gone down again straight away. But Rina might actually be able to stop those interceptors taking off in the future. That rocket's nearly done though, so I'm not sure how this is going to end up going. It looks like it is pretty much ready. It still takes a few times to, I guess, end initialization. I think Zloygiz might be able to defend this with these interceptors coming in. I'm not sure these artillery are getting enough damage in at one time. And there is reinforcements coming in, so they're going to need to destroy these really quick if they want to get them out of the way. Yeah, that rocket is complete now. So down here, it does look like Rina is slowly making good progress there. A rocket literally appearing out of nowhere for Rina. Travelling all the way across the map here. And passing one SAM unit, but unfortunately it's just not enough. It's going for the city, but I think a city can survive a nuke. It certainly can, but he did manage to take out some of the production. And now Rina must know there's a rocket in this area. But another one is being built, so if they cannot take it out soon, they're going to have some major issues. Especially as Zloygiz is building up a fairly sizable force in this area, and those interceptors are still making runs. And they have been destroyed, those things there, so these interceptors are going to fly away. They're going to land on a airfield, like this one. That one looks like he will. They probably are just going to do that instead, which is fine. So that was quite lucky as Zloygiz. It looks like these units from Rina are going to come in handy right now, and they're going to take out some of these structures if they get the chance, but they are being attacked unchallenged by these strikers. There is no anti-air here. I don't think Rina's gone anti-air at all anywhere on the map. I don't see any SAM units. Oh, there's one in the forest. They are coming into play, but luckily, most of these are interceptors. They're not all strikers. And that does mean that they're going to have a hard time trying to take all of it out. And I think these artillery units here will be able to destroy this airfield. And not only have we got the main force here, but we've got some sneaky commandos going on up in this area, which Rina probably can't even see. Nope, this artillery here is under attack by a commando. Did just go down, potentially to an artillery as well. But Rina does have a lot of reinforcements coming in through the south right now, and they're building another city. They just need to get their units there faster, which is becoming a problem as it's much further away. But Zloygiz is making his advancements in this area, and it's going to cover a lot of this ground quite quickly. The commandos are literally taking a territory here without Rina knowing, which means they are potentially able to figure out what is in this territory. And Rina's had this rocket pad for a very long time and has used it once, but ever since then has never actually built up the capital, which I've been mentioning the whole time. Don't save up your capital, but when you got a rocket you want to build, you need 500. Rina is definitely feeling the pressure. They got a lot of units going on down here, and they are making a lot of success. So they're regretting, or regretfully, forcing some units to come up this way instead. And without a rocket here, it looks like you're going to have to just rely on what is available to you. Those commandos are just trying to sneak around the top and trying to see what's in there. They're literally going to target the city. That is going to be their main objective over here. And Rina cannot see this at all. You can hear the commandos shooting at this, but you couldn't really tell where it was actually coming from. But as a unit is built, you can see the commandos get unveiled, so they are going to end up being spotted. And Zloygiz is literally targeting all these structures with those commandos, which is probably a good idea to do. Any surviving commandos you can try and take out that city with afterwards. But to be fair, it's fairly undefended from the front as well. Down in this section of the map, Zloygiz is relying heavily on air units to take out this ground force, which is working out well for him, but unfortunately a lot of these are interceptors. You really need to focus on building strikers, which they are doing. Also got their trade route set up nicely. The rocket from here is now trying to come down to the bottom there. And it's going to take out quite a lot of units. It might even take out some friendlies here. Yep, even some friendly units go down to that rocket. But if it does take out more of Rina's, it looks like it gave the advantage to Zloygiz. Yeah, that did take out quite a lot of the frontline units. There we go, some SAM units have been brought in to try and take out the city, which is kind of an odd unit to choose to take out the city, but, you know, use what you have. Let's have a look at Zloygiz actually attack force there, attack setup. It's just got a strike command, and that's all that was in range at the time. I think that's definitely going to be enough units to take out the city there. Eventually that will go down, even when the artillery are defending it. It's just not enough artillery in the right place at the right time. And Zloygiz has a lot of money saved up, considering every time I've checked him he seems to have less, but he also has 1,800 eco every minute, whereas Rina has 1,200 even after the city has been blown up. So now Rina has very little production in this area, and not much to defend with as well, and that rocket pad is pretty much going to just be destroyed now. And Zloygiz side of things, they can see pretty much what's going on there, and they've got these units coming down to the south to join in and help in this engagement that has been going on the bottom side of the map. And we do have some reinforcements coming down through here. Even the commandos that have been being produced here are coming through. So Zloygiz has pretty much covered the map with streams of reinforcements, especially here. A lot of SAM units there to go through. And it looks like his air units have been placed, or the command has been placed around a load of SAM. I don't know if that's intentional or whether just unlucky, but that's what's going on. We've got another city here, to be fair. And there's a lot of units coming down this way. But unfortunately, I think it's just not going to be enough in the long run. Because now Rina has to worry about the bottom part here, which they have lost all this territory which was their eco, as well as this territory down here. So their eco, to be fair, is doing really well. That's because they're not spending their eco on production structures. Or at least they are now. They got some more there. But they are completely out of energy now. They've lost their power plants in the north. And Zloygiz has pretty much complete control over 75% of the map. It is literally cut into 1/4 left over for Rina. It's not a bad quarter though. They've got a city over here, remember that. Over here it looks like Rina's on the last legs. So they are literally having to divert a lot of units, try and defend this choke point here, as well as trying to force their way through this area over here. Zloygiz has done a very good job at slowly picking away at the target. And has taken away these things down here, I assume with commandos. And the rocket's coming in as well. We'll check the commandos in a minute. And that rocket does hit and take out all those SAM units. And yet the commandos are over here about to take out the last, almost the last structure of Rina's. There is still this rocket pad which has nothing on it right now. May as well just leave that up and running, to be fair. It's costing the enemy a bomb to keep that. Yep, Marina has nothing on there now, but that is the last thing over there. Over here, it looks like more strikers have been called in, which are going in towards, well, to be fair, it's only one SAM unit. I think they can handle that. It is only 2 strikers, though. Just be aware of that. The other one that's flying off now is an interceptor, but he is building some more airfields. That SAM unit is retreating and still getting some damage out. But they are just pretty much leaving the striker to take out the frontline units. Over here, these units are slowly progressing downwards, and they have taken out the rocket that was up in this corner over here. But Zloygiz must be feeling fairly confident right now, despite despite being pushed back quite a lot in the south, a lot of their unit production has been diverted downwards as well now. And they are bringing those in through here. They got some commandos going through the bottom line. Kind of the same way they did in the top, but in reverse. Literally a mirror. There we go. So the battle is taking place pretty much within that forest. Rina set up a defensive line here to try and stop this one here. It's not a fortified line, but it is a formation. The tanks are going to run into a bit of firing lines over here, but unfortunately there is just far too many units here to actually for Rina to actually push back. And I have noticed that Rina also has their own commandos coming in through the bottom line here, where I think Zloygiz commandos are coming in through this section here. They might actually end up colliding. We'll have a commando fight. And Rina has a lot of units, but they are just spread out over a large area, and before they can actually build up, they do keep dying. And it looks like Rina did not want to hold out their defensive line there, their formation. They wanted to go on the offense and try to curve around through this middle section of the mountain, this little valley here. It looks like the artillery blobs aren't big enough for Rina. It looks like Zloygiz is going to be able to bring in the artillery with these tanks added into the mix every now and then. And there is a sneaky commando trying to get through over there. But they are being spotted by the enemy commandos. There we go. They can spot each other. They are going to end up going down. Like, this commando will go down first, but there are the other artillery which are able to support this now that they can see it. Which means those commandos are very unlikely to get through right now. But these commandos are just going to end up going across this way and joining in this line. From Rina's perspective, they must feel pretty surrounded. Being attacked from the north here. And unfortunately, the line from Zloygiz is literally outweighing the enemy's line there. And the same is slowly happening in this way over here. These lines are building up, or these lines of artillery are just building up in numbers that Rina just can't handle anymore. And they've been pushed back to the corner of the map. Which is unfortunate. I wonder if Zloygiz has that rocket available. They do, and it's ready, and they can't fire it. It must be out of range. Oh no, there we go. That rocket is going to come over. Rina can't see it yet. I don't know where it's going to land. It'll probably land around this area, maybe. I'll try and figure out where it comes from. Yep, there it is. So the rocket comes in and... oh, we can't actually watch it. That's kind of anticlimactic. The end of the match has been reached. Rocket midair. I hope you enjoyed that match. I believe Zloygiz has done a very good job at controlling his units and diverting the pressure. So, there are 2 videos on screen right now. Feel free to take a look. And subscribe to the channel if you want to see future content. So, I'll see you there. Thanks for watching. Bye now.